today. What are we doing today? Romans, I know that much. Oh, duh. Like I had lost Romans. I'm going from 2 Corinthians, moving. I'm like, wait, that's before that. One of these days I'll remember the books of the Bible. So Romans 12, I'm going to start out at verse 9. But as always, one of the things that I want to continue to look at. So some of you will have, we have those little headers, that begin certain blocks of passages. This one, and this Bible is Marks of the True Christian. Marks of a True Christian. So as we're reading this is, what we're reading here is not rules, right? We've taken the law away. Remember the last several weeks, we've been talking about the law, right? There is no law. We're not under a law. We need to stop creating laws. We need to stop condemning people according to a law. There is no law. Right? The only law, the only rule, the only commandment that we have is to love our neighbor as ourselves. That's it. It's the only thing we have to do. And so once again, this isn't a law here. This isn't like, if you want to be a true Christian, this is what you have to do. That's not what this is about. What this is saying is that if you're growing, if you're following Jesus Christ, this is what your life will look like. So if you're wondering, am I truly following Jesus? Am I truly living out my Christian faith? Once again, this isn't a checklist, but you'll notice, okay, yes, according to this, I'm doing some of these things. I don't think any of us are doing all of these things. We would like to be doing all of these things, but we're not. We're human. But the objective is if I have these things going on in my life, I'm growing and I'm progressing in my relationship with Jesus Christ. Okay? And so we'll start, like I said, start at verse 9. Paul writes, "Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not be slothful in zeal. Be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Repay no one evil for evil, but give thought to do what is honorable in the sight of all. If possible, as far as it depends on you, live peacefully with all." Right? So once again, first line, let love be genuine. What does it mean to let love be genuine? When I was thinking about this and reflecting on this, now once again, I had kind of a short week because, sometimes I try to come in on Tuesday and I spend a lot of my time on Tuesday because Monday I'm not in the office, right? Monday my babysitters have decided that they don't want to work on Monday, so, there's that, and with kids not in school, we understand. And so Mondays are the day that I'm home with the kids, and Jessica goes into work. And so I come in on Tuesday, and I start reading the scriptures, and I start praying, trying to find some inspiration, because, Sunday's coming, and I got to say something. Well, it didn't happen on Tuesday. And then it didn't happen on Wednesday. And then it didn't happen on Thursday. And then, Friday is always going to happen because Friday I mow the grass. And if I don't find something mowing the grass, I got, 2.5 hours to save on that mower, right? If something doesn't hit me on that mower, then we're just not having church, right? We're just going to come in here and hang out and listen to music, right? And so once again, something hit me. And it was a passage, and it was the weep with those who weep. Because one of the things that I've been talking about, and you guys are probably getting tired of hearing the words empathy and compassion. And so I was thinking about there's a lot of people in our world, there's a lot of people in our community that are weeping. And they're not weeping because, they didn't like who got elected. They're not weeping because of whatever. They're weeping because of their life. They're weeping because of the conditions in which they were born. And they're weeping because no matter how hard they fight, no matter how hard they work, nothing seems to get better. And they weep. And a lot of times, some of these people, they get desperate and they fall into despair. And sometimes they think that their life isn't worth living. And so they end it. Maybe sometimes they end it because they didn't have somebody who was there to weep with them. Maybe they didn't have somebody who was there to love them genuinely. And so when I talk about genuine love, he says, let love be genuine. This is not love that is contingent upon meeting a set of factors. This is not love that's dependent upon me agreeing with the way you live your life. This is me loving you simply because you are you. This is me loving you, me other-centered self-giving. I don't care what drug you're addicted to. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care who you're married to. What I care about is that you are God's child, and I'm going to give myself and center my life on you because my love is genuine. That is genuine love. Right? And are we good at that all the time? Are we good at loving people we disagree with? Are we good at loving people who we don't think are worthy to be loved? Are we good at loving people who are wasting their life addicted to drugs and alcohol? Are we good at loving those people, or are we good at condemning those people? Are we good at sitting down and weeping with the person who is so in pain they inject a deadly drug into their vein every day? Are we there weeping with them? Or are we there condemning them? Or what are we doing in this world? Because what did Jesus Christ do? John 11. The shortest verse in all the scriptures. We'll start at verse, we'll go to 28. Why not? I like reading. So John 11, verse 28. When she had said this, she went and called her sister Mary, saying in private. Now, once again, please, okay, I'll give you some context. Lazarus has just died. Remember the story of Lazarus? Lazarus had died, and then Jesus brought him back to life. So at this point in time, Lazarus has died. Okay, so when she had said this, she went and called her sister Mary, saying in private, the teacher is here and is calling for you. And when she heard it, she rose quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not come into the village, but was still in the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who were with her in the house, consoling her, saw Mary rise quickly and go out, they followed her, supposing that she was going to the tomb to weep there. Now when Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, where have you laid them? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Verse 35, Jesus wept. Okay? Now, is Jesus weeping because he's so sad Lazarus died? Because once again, he knows he's about to bring him back to life. So Jesus isn't weeping that this guy died. Jesus is weeping because he's seeing the people that he loves, and they are sad. They're weeping. They're crying. And it says he was troubled. He was deeply moved in his spirit and was greatly troubled by these people's pain. And now once again, this is Mary and Martha, but there's also this group of Jews that are coming out. And once again, these Jews, what have they been constantly doing to Jesus? They've been constantly trying to trap him and trick him and try to kill him. But they are so sad and they are so brokenhearted about Lazarus that Jesus feels their pain. And he's greatly troubled. And he wept. Not for Lazarus, but for the pain of the people that he loved. Even though a good percentage of them hated him. He didn't care about how they felt for him. He felt their pain, and he wept for them. That's empathy. Right? That's what we're talking about here when I talk about this word empathy. It's being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and feel what they're going through. Understand what they have going on in their life. And so we say, let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Love one another. Outdo one another in showing honor. Karen and Phil just showed me honor. Now what I have to do is I have to try to outdo them and show them more honor. But it's okay because the other day on Facebook I told about how cute of a couple they are. So I showed them honor and now they just outdid my honor. And now I got to find a way to outdo their honor. But you notice how all of it is me not trying to outdo it for me, but it's just trying to make sure that they know that I honor them. They try to make sure that I know that they honor me. Are we doing that for people every day in our life? Are we doing that for people who do nothing for us? Are we willing to go to somebody who we don't like, somebody who doesn't like us, and show them honor? Show them genuine brotherly love and affection? Now, right now, we probably have to hold off on the affection, hopefully. Once this COVID stuff passes, maybe we can get back to showing some affection. He says, bless those, verse 14, bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. Hold on, I'm looking for something here. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Am I? Hold on. I think I got to go to Peter. Once again, this is all, it all happened pretty quickly. 1 Peter 3, verse 8. Finally, all of you have unity of mind, sympathy, brotherly love, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Do not repay evil for evil or reviling for reviling, but on the contrary, bless for those who were called, that you may obtain a blessing for. Unity of mind. And this isn't the only place. I thought there was a place here in 12 that it said it. But maybe I was wrong. That's happened before. But we've heard other passages, I've talked other times about being of the same mind. What does that mean? Does that mean that we all have to agree on everything? That we all have to think the exact same way? But being of the same mind for me, it means that for me to be of the same mind, I just have to understand you. It's to have a mind of understanding. And we don't agree with one another on every single thing, but we understand each other. I know why you think the way you think. I know why you see the world the way you see the world. Because I care. Not because, this is what, we got to try to figure out the way they think so you can get them to think the way you think. No! That's not what it's about, but it's about being of the same mind. It's about understanding one another. It's about being able to take yourself out of your shoes, put on somebody else's shoes, take off your glasses, and put on somebody else's glasses, so you can see what they see, so you can understand why they have the worldview that they have, why they have the faith that they have, because you can understand them, because you're of the same mind as them. Once again, this is empathy. Right? Because we have a whole lot of people in our world that we don't understand. How could they possibly think that? How could they possibly believe in that version of God? How could they possibly read those scriptures? How could they possibly love that person? How could they possibly? I don't understand. Why doesn't this person just think the way that I think? Why don't they see the way that I see? Why don't they recognize that I'm right and they're wrong and the solution to all the world's problems is me? Does anybody know anybody like that? I do. Don't be shy. Has anybody ever been that person? I have. Don't be shy. You have too. Right? But we have to abhor what is evil. And I could tell you that way of thinking is evil. That way of thinking that I'm right and you're wrong, and anybody who disagrees with me is evil, that is what's evil. We want to abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Contribute to the needs of the saints. Now, once again, we might have twisted that, because who are saints? Right? We think of saints, St. Paul and St. Matthew and, kind of the Catholic version of saints, that if you do something really great. I forget, is anybody from a Catholic background? Karen, you remember what you had to do to be a saint? You had to have a proven miracles or something and something else. And yeah, there's a criteria, and if we find this person is usually after they've died and they've met this criteria, we can nominate them for sainthood, and I don't know if it's the Pope or whoever nominates them as saint, right? Oh, there you go, Jessica. Anybody got a St. Christopher statue? I need a St. Christopher statue. Yeah, I'm sure we can find one. You got. It does work. We got to try this. So anyway, a lot of times when we think of saints, we think of somebody who's high, somebody who's exalted, somebody who's special. And so, if you've been paying attention to me, who is high, who is mighty, and who is special? God, yeah, that's true. Who else? Jessica and Lori. I will say everyone. Everyone. We are all exalted in God's eyes. We are all special in God's eyes. We are all lifted up by God. Right? We've all been set aside. The saint is somebody who's been sanctified, saint. Sanctified means set aside. Who here God did not create and then set aside for a specific purpose? Who has not been sanctified? Who has not been made a saint? And once again, some of us have accepted our sainthood. Some of us have accepted our sanctification. Some of us are still trying to run away from it. But it doesn't mean that before the foundation of the world, God did not choose you to be set aside for a specific plan and purpose that He created you for in His image. Right? So once again, who's not a saint? If I haven't recognized I'm a saint, does that mean I'm still not a saint? A saint means it's somebody. It's all of us. It's anybody who's in Christ, anybody who's included in God's plan. So once again, some saints don't have any needs. Some saints have a lot of needs. And what does it say? Contribute to the needs of the saints. Show hospitality. Give to the people who don't have. Make sure that the people who don't have what you have what you have. But the interest of other people ahead of your own. It's not about me. It's not about what's in my interest. It's not about what's best for me. It's about what's best for we. It's about all of us. This is moving away from individualism thinking and moving more into collectivism thinking, which is what Jesus constantly talked about. It's what the Apostle Paul is writing about here. And it's easy not to do these things when we don't have compassion and empathy for the people who don't have what we have. When the mentality is just work hard. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Well, maybe I'm to be one of the bootstraps. Maybe I'm one of the person in that person's life that is supposed to come along and help them, teach them how to grab a bootstrap and pull it. Because maybe they don't have anybody in their life that even knows what a bootstrap is. Maybe they just think you're supposed to be walking around with floppy shoes. And they need me to come along and say, no, try wearing them this way. And I tighten that bootstrap and I'm like, wow, I'm more comfortable with tight, nice fitting shoes, right? Anybody try to ice skate with loosely tied ice skates? That's why when we gave Madison ice skating lessons, I couldn't do it because I couldn't get the skates tight enough. My foot was moving around, come on. I gotta get them tighter. I can't get them tight enough. I couldn't pull myself up by the bootstraps. I couldn't do it. So I guess I couldn't go ice skating, so Jessica had to do it. I'm not sad that I wasn't able to pull myself up by the bootstraps and go ice skating. Didn't work. Bless those who persecute you, and bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Live in harmony. Are we living in harmony with one another. It is. It's really hard. It is really hard because there's some really dumb people in this world. And it makes it really hard to live in harmony with their stupidity. I get it. But it doesn't say try. It says do. Once again, it doesn't say live in harmony with people who agree with you and attack the people who don't agree with you. It's hard if you're not willing and able to understand why you think they're stupid. Because your judgment of their stupidity is based upon them not meeting your expectations of them. They're not meeting your law. They're not meeting your requirement. They're not thinking the way you want them to think, believing the way you want them to believe, voting the way you want them to vote. And so therefore, we don't live in harmony with them. We reject them. But once again, if we're able to step out of our shoes and step into their shoes and understand them, and we recognize that it's not just they're stupid, it's maybe they don't know any better. And it's far easier once we have empathy and compassion to begin to live in harmony. It's easy to not persecute those who persecute you because you understand why they're persecuting you. Because what is the author of Ecclesiastes, and you probably don't remember this, but remember Ecclesiastes, we did a little time in Ecclesiastes a couple years ago. I always tell people if you're ever feeling depressed, don't read Ecclesiastes because you'll end it all. Ecclesiastes is a book that tells us that nothing is meaningful. Everything is meaningless. There's no point to anything. All we do as human beings is we try to catch wind. There's no point to our existence. We're all doomed. Nothing matters. Right? And he says over and over and over and over again. Ecclesiastes is really uplifting. Now, once you get to the end and he finds God and recognize that life without God is meaningless. Life without God is chasing after wind. So after the first two chapters, it gets a little bit more, uplifting. But the first two, it's like, what the crap am I reading? That's where I was going. But what does he say in Ecclesiastes? So once again, I'm sorry, but sometimes I get rambling, and when I didn't have all week to prepare because the Holy Spirit didn't touch me until about noon on Friday on the lawnmower, where is Ecclesiastes? There it is. I passed it. Let's see if I can find it real fast. Can't find it real fast. But basically, he says that it's not the persecuted that are being persecuted. The persecutor, the person persecuting, is also being persecuted because they're being persecuted by the devil. They're being pushed into the world to be persecutors, not realizing that they're just being persecuted by the devil. Is basically the gist of the saying. So once again, when I recognize that this person who's attacking me, this person who's persecuting me, why are they doing it? Why do they hate me so much? Why are they attacking me? Let me try to understand. What am I doing that's hitting such a nerve in them? Is it me? Am I wrong here? Or maybe if I can just better understand this person. Why are they attacking? Why do they feel this way? And then maybe I can find that semblance of pain inside of them that's getting them to lash out. And maybe I can find that pain and I can love them in that pain. Because what Paul says down here at the very beginning, or the very ending, we'll start verse 19. He says, "Beloved, never avenge yourself. Never avenge yourself, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, 'Vengeance is mine. I will repay,' says the Lord." And we've talked about that a lot. To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For by doing so, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Now, what does it mean he's going to heap burning coals on somebody's head? Because once again, eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Somebody attacks me, I attack them, they attack me, I attack them, and we go around and round and around because violence only begets more violence. You cannot get to peace through violence. It will never happen. You will never achieve peace through war. The only way to get to peace is to choose peace. And so if somebody attacks you, and instead of attacking them back, you feed them. You clothe them. You love them. You praise them. You kill them with kindness, is the saying. Now they're going to start feeling really guilty. Because here's the thing. When I was, when I was a kid, the world was still kind of normal when I was growing up. And, boys fought each other and we beat each other up. But it was always the same thing, right? You're standing across and you're like, you hit me first. No, you hit me first. No, you hit me first. And we go like 30 minutes of you hit me first, no, you hit me first, before finally everybody gets bored and realizes that nobody's going to hit anybody, so they all leave. And once you realize there's no audience, then you just give up and go away anyway, too. But once again, why did hit me first? Because once you hit me, now I feel justified in hitting you. And then now that I've hit you back, you feel justified in hitting me again. And then I feel justified in hitting you again. Right? But once again, what does Jesus say? Turn the other cheek. If somebody hits you, let them hit you again on the other side. Why? Because Jesus liked getting punched in the face? No, because Jesus understood the way to peace. And Jesus knew and Jesus taught that peace is the only way. There is no violence. And so if somebody's attacking you and you don't attack back, if somebody is persecuting, somebody's coming after you, somebody has wronged you, and you don't avenge yourself, but instead love them. Hey, thank you for robbing my house while you're here. Do you want me to cook you something to eat? Do you need something? I'm sure that would happen to Ann, like they break in, and she's like, hey, while you're here, would you like some pudding? Would you like me to make you something? So I don't want you to leave my house with all my stuff hungry. Like, that would just be rude of me. But can you imagine what that would do to the psyche of somebody who's just broke into your house if you offered to feed them while they were robbing you? There's a story of an old woman, and it went viral a couple of years ago. I think she was like 60, 70-year-old. I might get some of the details wrong. She was on a subway or a train in Philadelphia. I don't know if Philadelphia has subways or trains or whatever they have, but she was on one. It was late at night, and a guy came down and sat next to her and put a knife in her side and said, give me everything out of your purse. And she said, son, put the knife away and just ask me for it and you can have it, and therefore you're not committing a crime. You won't have to go to jail. He said, what do you mean? She says, you don't have to rob me. If you need something from me, just ask me and I'll give it to you. You don't have to break the law. He got up and left. Didn't take anything from her. Just left. Right? She didn't do what he was expecting. What he was expecting her to do is panic. Oh my God, take my purse. And she just very calmly said, just put the knife away. Just ask me. You can have it. He didn't know what to do, so he left. What she did is she just heaped an entire grill full of burning coals right on top of his head. And he had no idea what to do. So once again, if we don't respond the way people think we're going to respond, things change. And if we can begin to step outside of our way of thinking, and we can begin to understand the way other people think, then we can begin to respond very differently in different situations. We can begin to live in harmony with one another. We can begin to learn how to genuinely love one another. We can begin to abhor what is evil. We can begin to weep with those who weep and rejoice with those who rejoice. Because I can tell you right now, on November 4th, half of our country is going to be rejoicing and half of our country is going to be weeping. Are we going to be able to rejoice with those who are rejoicing and weep with those who are weeping? Or are we going to be on one of the sides, either rejoicing ourselves or weeping ourselves? What's that? I won't be. At least I'm hoping I won't be. I want to rejoice with those who are rejoicing, and I want to weep with those who weep.
I'll accept whatever.
I know you will. But it was funny because I was watching this video the other day, and it was like 5 minutes long, and it'd be like a Trump support. If Biden wins, I'm moving to Panama. There's a Biden support. If Trump wins, I'm moving to Norway. And then they'd interview somebody, well, if Biden wins, I'm moving here. If Trump, and it was like, so basically, no matter what happens November 4th, half the country's moving out. Okay? So, you know what I mean? So, realistically, we're all going to sit here and we're all going to either rejoice for 4 years or weep for 4 years, and then it'll all start over again 4 years later, right? But the fact of the matter is where are we when it comes to the marks of a true Christian, right? Because as Misty pointed out, none of this is easy. None of this is easy. Because once again, if it was easy to get this, if it was easy to live our life this way, the cross would have been pointless. We never would have needed the cross. If we could have done this on our own, if we could have done this just by following a law, we never would have needed Jesus Christ. This is impossible to do on our own. This is impossible to do without Jesus Christ. But thanks be to God we have the cross. Thanks be to God that the old way of thinking that I used to think, where I didn't love genuinely, I didn't abhor what was evil, I didn't rejoice with those who rejoice or weep with those who weep, I didn't do any of the things in here. Thank God that guy went to that cross 13 years ago and died. And thanks be to God that for the last 13 years, that guy has been being reborn. It's not done yet. I'm not born again. Not all my problems gone away. I'm not perfect at this. This isn't a one-time deal. I come to the cross and everything's forgiven. It's I come to the cross and I begin a process of reconstruction. I go to the cross and I deconstruct everything because I die. And I come out of that tomb living a life of reconstructing, putting things back together. But not me putting the pieces back in place. God putting the pieces back in place. God saying, Jimmy, you really need to change the way you see this person. Jimmy, you really need to change the way you see that group of people. And as all of you know, all of this in my journey has been documented. I've been sharing all of it. I've never lied to you, and I've never sat up here, well, after August of 2015, I've never sat up here and said anything I didn't believe. Before August of 2015, I said a lot of things I didn't believe. I preached sermons on rapture even though I never believed in rapture. I would preach sermons about people dying and going to hell even though I never believed people died and went to hell. Never believed that. That's not new information. I think I finally came out with that last year. Finally told you all the truth. But I never actually believed it. That goes back in 2010 when I met with Brother Paul Quanon from Gethsemane Monastery. He was the first person I shared that I didn't believe people go to hell when they die. But ever since then, once again, I'm trying to live this life. I'm trying not to avenge those people who've hurt me. I'm trying to learn how to weep with those who weep. Put on somebody else's skin. Put on somebody else's glasses. Put on somebody else's shoes. And recognizing that my version of history isn't the only version of history. My version of the story isn't the only version of the story. We have like 55,000 people in Lorraine County, is that true? No. 55,000 people in Elyria. Yeah, 55,000 people live in Elyria. I think there's like 160,000 that live in Lorraine County, something like that. And they all have a different story. They all have a different way of seeing. They all have different experiences, different cultures, different contexts. And I'm supposed to say that I'm the only one that's right? My story is the right story? Stop crying, suck it up, get over it, just work harder, quit being so lazy, quit drinking every day, stop squirting that poison in your veins, stop doing that for a living because I'm right and you're wrong. When I don't understand why any of those things are happening in that person's life, how am I ever going to lead that person to the cross if all I'm doing is condemning them? Because once again, if I've gone to the cross and I've died on the cross and I've been resurrected, what is my task? To help lead other people to the cross. This is how you do it. This is the playbook. Romans 12:9 through 21. This is the mark of a Christian life. And if you're living this life, I guarantee you, you're leading people to the cross. You're leading people to a changed and transformed heart. Because what does Paul say at the beginning of chapter 12? And we're done, I promise. Verse 2 of chapter 12. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by the testing you may discern what is the will of God and what is good and acceptable and perfect. So do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Right? No, it doesn't say be transformed by the renewed mind. Renewal means it's, for me, when I read it that way, and specifically sometimes in the New American Standard, the renewing of your mind means it's ongoing. It means my mind is always being renewed. I'm always changing the way I see. Now, there's some absolutes, right? We have some absolutes. For me, the absolute is the cross, the literal death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the literal teachings and the literal message of Jesus Christ. Those things are absolute. Those things will never change. I'll never abandon those. But a lot of other things have been changed by the renewing of my mind. I've changed the way I see people. Changed the way I understand people. And once again, as Misty said, it's hard. There's still some people that I just want to smack upside the head. Sometimes they're my own kids. Jimmy comes to me the other day because his birthday is on Tuesday. And so he knows he's getting presents. And he says, Daddy, do animals get presents on their birthday? What? Your animals get presents on their birthday. Your animals get presents every day. Jimmy wishes he could be treated as good as your animals. Yeah. Well, I dare anybody to go to Steve and Linda's house and try to give Linda a hug. You get mauled to death by a dog. No, it happened. That's why I don't come over anymore. I go visit at your mom's, where I get attacked by a bird. She's got the nastiest bird in the world. She's like bleeding from her forehead from when the bird bit her. She goes, it's a nice bird. It is. Ask Steve. So once again, we need to renew the way we see the bird. Or the cat, or the dogs. So just to wrap everything up, are we looking at things like this in the scriptures and using it as a way to judge ourselves? Or were you looking at these things in the scriptures and using them as a way to judge somebody else? Because once again, it's okay if I do it because they do it too. It's okay if I treat them that way because they treated me that way. It's okay that I'm not living according to that standard because they're not living according to that standard. And so we look at this list and we say, see, they're wrong. Their love isn't genuine. They're not weeping with me. They're not doing this for me. They're not doing that for me. Or are we looking at the scriptures, as I've been talking about almost the entire year? Are we looking at the scriptures as a way to correct ourselves? Am I on the path that Jesus has laid out for me? Have I denied myself, picked up my cross, and am I following him? Because once again, I cannot change your minds about anything. Believe me, I've tried. I cannot convince you that I am right and you are wrong about anything. Believe me, I have tried. But I can find out that I'm wrong. I can see where I have been wrong, and I can fix that. And so when I come to the scriptures, what am I looking for? I'm not looking for a way to condemn you. I'm looking to see if I'm off track. Where do I need to get better? Or is there a people group that's weeping that I'm not weeping with? Is there a people group that's weeping that I'm rejoicing that they're weeping? Or am I weeping with anybody who weeps? Am I rejoicing with anybody who rejoices? Let's spend our life, let's spend our time reading our scriptures, not just on Sunday mornings, but reading our scriptures every day to see where I am on the path. Where do I need to change? How can my mind be renewed on this day instead of being conformed to the world? Does that make sense? Am I tracking?